tonight is going to be refreshing in the beginning, but then at the end, since I promised to throw in some songs that you'll be able to play. Now, this is for starters, so we're talking about three-finger types of songs. By the end, I'm going to show I Believe I Can Fly, which is like a general inspirational song. I'm going to show an oldie but goodie, My Girl, and You Are So Beautiful. So that's at the end, probably around an hour 45 or so. We'll see. We'll see how we're doing with it. Right now, things are good. I don't know how many people are on the line. I haven't checked yet, but the line sounds very clear. Whenever I get static, I'll go to lecture mode. Are there any questions before I get started in terms of anything we've covered in the past or what you want to get out of this as a beginner? Who's on the phone that you consider yourself a straight starter?
Oh, I am Joseph. I'm a straight starter.
Okay, Joseph, you're a straight starter. Where are you from, Joseph?
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay, you're the North Carolina. All right, who else? Who? Betty Crawford, you sound familiar, too. Where are you from, Betty?
Mary Crawford from Texas.
Mary Crawford, okay, from Texas. All right, well, I hope majority of the call is beginner so I can go at a slower pace. If not, just put your phone on speakerphone and bear with me through. And there's always something new to learn. I mean, you may just find a way to look at a chord differently. If you get that out of the call, even if you're already playing chords, then that should be well worth it for you. So appreciate everyone for getting on the call. It's recording as of now. I'm going to go over to mute mode, the lecture mode, and we'll get started with the basics. And please follow along. You can get it at hearandplay.com/teleclass3.html. So here I go. Okay, the goal for tonight's session, if you've been following me all three sessions, I like to state the goal at the beginning. So the goal is to start you off the right way by learning the basics and the fundamentals like major scales, intervals, triads, and other similar concepts. So we'll begin tonight with the basics. Things I'll go through are just the 12 unique notes, the differences between half steps and whole steps. I'm going to talk about sharps and flats and when to call them sharps, and certainly when to call them flats. The 12 unique major key signatures, and then from there we'll go into major scales, how to really differentiate between the scales quickly and not just make them a mundane thing that you do in the beginning when you're practicing or getting ready to play. Scales are important. They're more than just fingering. They're more than just things you do to practice with. Scales build chords, chords build progressions, and progressions build songs. So if you understand that number system I've been kind of teaching and preaching since the beginning, then you're good to go. So scales are very important, and I'll try to emphasize why at that point. I'll give you 3 ways to memorize your scales or to really let the scales sink in so that you can utilize them in the way that I want you to utilize them in. 3 ways there. Then we'll get into our chords. So for starters, I'm going to teach you easy ways to think about chords and ways to think about chords so that you can activate your thinking in any new key. Like there's keys I don't like to play in, to tell you the truth, because I don't get a lot of experience in certain keys, especially when you're in the church and gospel music. There's the flat keys, and when you're in jazz, there's certain keys you get good in because you're always playing in those keys. So keys like E and A, those guitar keys, G and D, I like them. I have to learn to like them, but, sometimes I can't do all my good stuff that I might do because I played gospel in A flat or D flat or E flat or G flat, but I'll still teach you how to instantly activate chords so that when you're not playing in certain keys a lot, you can still hold a tune without any prior practice. That's looking at chords a certain way, looking at and finding the pattern so that you can activate it in any key, basically. Then how the major scales create the minor scales I'll talk about. That's on page 2 of the outline. You don't have to know minor separate from major. Many people think, oh, man, I got to learn minors now. And they think that's 24 things that they have to memorize, right? 12 majors, 12 minors. It's just not true. If you know your majors, I'm going to show you how to know your minors. Majors and minors, they're related, and I'll show you how. Things like relative minor, relative major. So if you know your major, then you know your minor. For example, C major shares the same notes as A minor. So if you know C major, you ought to know A minor. I'll cover that later. On page 3, we'll get into chords, number systems, major chords. We'll get into minor chords, major 7 chords, minor 7 chords, dominant 7s, diminished 7s, And then last, after I've introduced all the chords, we kind of got a good foundation. We know how scales relate to chords. We know how chords relate to songs and progressions. And then I'll just, for fun, I'll show you the same chords I've introduced tonight. I'll show them to you in a few sample songs, just the choruses of the songs. And it's my hope that, you know, if you're not playing full songs or you don't have anything to play around the fireplace for your family, I mean, I Believe I Can Fly is a good general song. My Girl from the oldies but goodies, way before me, actually. And You Are So